Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the government shutdown and the economic damage that it is starting to cause. So we're almost a month into this now, and things are starting to pile up. And here to talk about that, Vince Molinari, the co-founder of Templum, also Craig Kaufman, a senior managing director of Westpark Capital.
Hey, Jane.
Welcome. So, Vince, just your overall view of what's not happening from a capital market standpoint because of the government shutdown.
Pretty much a lot, right?
Basically, nothing's happening,
Nothing.
right?
Well, you know, and it's really difficult. I think if you frame it from the standpoint that the SEC, who needs to approve many of these items, on a good day has bandwidth constraints and is challenged to get all the things that they have done. So I think the rough number is 4,500, 4,600 employees at the SEC. In the furlough, they have 300. So you can imagine things are at a screeching halt, and it's only emergency actions or something egregious in investor protection that's being dealt with right now.
So, Craig, you just recently took a company public here at the NASDAQ.
That's correct.
So, how did you get that done?
We were able to declare it effective before the shutdown, so we got very, very lucky. We are in other transactions where we're trying to figure out what to do next as we move towards pricings, and the SEC has to approve that, and there's no one to approve it. So
You're just kind of in a holding pattern until you figure out what's going on.
I think, as Vince was saying earlier, that this is disproportionately affecting small companies that rely on the capital markets to fund their operations. A large company could wait
You're right.
and have the cash flow to do what they need to do. These smaller companies are really in a bind, and it's
They don't have as much runway as these big companies do. What about the long-term damage? I mean, do you think that this will change the psyche of people that are looking to go public? Because we've had government shutdowns. Well, we had one last year.
Yeah.
They're kind of becoming common.
I think you have a couple of challenges, and I think the biggest challenge is nobody can really tell you how long this is going to go on. So I think you're missing pricing windows in the public IPO process. Numbers are going to go stale. And then you get into the cycle, you could be a quarter or two before you're getting into the point of jump starting, and then you hit the summer season.
And it's starting to, outside of the federal workers who are not getting paid and the people who are not receiving government benefits and so forth, it's starting to have an impact on consumer companies. I saw Delta today said $25 million are going to lose because of government contractors are not flying. That was for a month. So that's one area where we're seeing an impact.
I mean, I think that personally, I've been doing some research, and most people don't get how deep and wide this really is. Particularly as it moves longer and longer. It affects everything from Hart-Scott-Rodino review, so if you're doing mergers and acquisitions, that's all on pause. If you're launching a consumer product, you need a safety stamp, and so any new consumer product that needs a safety stamp, you can't do that. And the FAA, as you were saying, new planes, new routes was in the news.
And just getting through the security lines with the TSA.
Absolutely.
So now, Vince, do you think that this will slow down the U.S.? I mean, we're kind of in a race with China on 5G and blockchain technologies. I mean, will this slow that down? Will it put the U.S. at an economic disadvantage?
I hope not, but I will tell you, Jane, as you know, we do a bunch of different advocacy on modernization of security law. And we were quite optimistic that the SEC was going to come out with additional guidance around qualified custody rules around alternative assets, digital assets. That seems like that can't possibly happen. I will tell you, though, to his credit, we met with Commissioner Jackson last week at the SEC, and still very engaged in these topics. And pleased to report that he is a fan of innovation and embracing that, not stifling it, and continue to find out how do we have investor protection baked into all of that. So things are still being thoughtful and considerate at the SEC, but I think we could be at a disadvantage if this goes on for an extended period of time.
Now, does the public have any reason to worry about being protected in terms of investors? Or is that's where this emergency SEC personnel will be looking out for?
Correct.
So they're still in place. It's just kind of the new things and the hearings that are all on hold for a moment.
Yes, they still have, I mean, look, there's less surveillance probably going on than there was before, but there's still a core staff of people doing surveillance. No new tech products that need an FCC stamp can get launched. And as we were talking about earlier, Vincent, it's not just the product, it's all the marketing and the people and the operations and the logistics that go along with launching a new product. And so the longer this goes on, the more people are going to say, let's wait a little bit. We don't need to hire that person. or we don't need these 3 people we just hired because we're not even going to go into launch mode for maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months, because now we missed that window. And that, I think, is going to trickle very deep the longer this goes on, and it's really week by week.
And I think this is going to be the cascading of unintended consequences. So it's that ripple effect and the cause and effect within the economy that we're going to start to feel over the next couple of weeks if this goes on. But I think we've already done some damage, and I think it's hopefully mitigating some of that damage sooner than later if we can get things started again.
I should mention we're recording this on January 15th. It will air on the 20th. Maybe there'll be something happens over that time.
Keep our fingers crossed.
I mean, we don't.
There's a meeting at lunch today, so
Yeah, is there?
maybe
Okay.
something happens.
Certainly at this point, it doesn't look like there's even any common ground at all. But even if we would end this quickly, there's still, as I imagine, a backlog of things that is going to just slow down progress for the next few months.
No question.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Hopefully
Thank you.
this will
Great to be here, Jane. Thanks.
get resolved and we can kind of get back to business as usual. But we'll see.
We'll
Thank
see.
you, Craig and Vince, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
And thank you as well. We'll be right back.